Hope is such an elusive word. It is a thing in and of itself. A noun, if you will. And yet it is not a thing by itself in isolation. It requires an object, like a verb. Hope is an idea, an ideal, a path, and a destination. Hope implies some sort of movement. It is an invitation. It is an azimuth set on a compass, tucked away in our hearts. And yet it is such an elusive thing, an incorporeal thing, like a beam of sunlight on a chilly autumn morning, promising warmth, but as fleeting as a passing cloud. Stretch out your hand, and the sunlight is as warm and as soft as a baby's cheek, or a loving mother's gentle embrace. Momentary joy. Hope. Until a passing cloud, gray and swift, encroaches, and the warm light fades away, like a wisp of steam evaporating on a draft, or a firefly blinking out into the cobalt night. Grief. Fear. These words are not elusive at all. They are all too real, solid, and hard. They bite and ache like a toothache that throbs at our attention. Grief is a hollow, empty space that shouldn't be. It is the awareness of something missing, something that isn't right. It is the fear of turning around from the coffee pot because you know there's an empty dog bed behind you that shouldn't be empty. It is the abruptness of an aborted funny thought you turn your head to share, but are stopped suddenly by the rudeness of empty air where your beloved should have been sitting. It is a cruel and heartless ninja who springs out upon you from nowhere, just when you are minding your own business. And fear is like grief, but with the powerful voice of a false prophet promising impending doom. And although fear should have no more substance than hope, it comes armed with shackles and cruel bars. It is borrowed tragedy with compounding interest. Fear snatches the air out of a room like an overexerted asthmatic. It is a liar given flesh on the lips of a friend's betrayal, or at the fingers tweeting a rant full of poisonous misinformation. And we are in a season of fear right now, rising to a climax of intensity born on millions of dollars of campaign ads. Fear enlists its comrades: manipulation, hyperbole, prejudice, and scarcity. It is as palpable as the thump, thump, thump of soldiers' boots marching against an imagined boogeyman. It is as cutting as an unpaid medical bill or an unexpected pink slip. It is as false as the promise of thirst quenched from a Flint, Michigan water tap. It is as brazen as a church or school campus gunman or a proud politician. It is more real than it has a right to be. Its hooks and shackles and locked cell doors imprison us with our own permission. By our own strength are we bound. In our gospel reading today, Jesus is marching toward Jerusalem, toward the cross, toward the grave. He is willingly walking into the very nexus of fear and grief, that place where all of the pain, all of the suffering, all of the violence from all places and all times whirlpool around one moment in time. And he walks in toward it, knowingly, willingly. His mother and his dearest friends are going to know grief like never before. His followers in his fame are going to come unraveled and abandon him. His fear bears the barbed lash, a thorned crown, fists and spittle and hatred. And he walks in toward it, knowingly, willingly, without a single word of anger or violence or hatred. And in the middle of it all, Jesus speaks words of hope, not fear, not grief. I go to prepare a place for you, so that where I am, you may be also. On his way to the very vortex of cosmic fear and grief, Jesus' thoughts and words rested on love and relationship, on presence. He knew what the road ahead would hold for him, what it holds for each of us. He knew that fear would come with tooth and claw. He knew that grief would come to smother and suffocate. And in that moment, he offered hope. Hope. Founded on and pointing toward loving communion together with us. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. Belief, faith, if you will, and hope go hand in hand. They are traveling companions. Faith is the bodyguard of hope along the highway they traverse together through the valley of the shadow of death. And though, like Thomas, we may ask, how, Lord, can we know the way? Jesus offers us comfort in himself. I am the way, he promises. Hope. We know the way by keeping our eyes on Jesus. We receive life by keeping our eyes on Jesus. We know God by keeping our eyes on Jesus. Not on our candidates, not on our political parties, not even on our nation. On Jesus. But hope requires an object. Like a verb pointing in motion, it must have a place to land. Heaven. If hope is an elusive word, I sense that heaven is even more so. That celestial city, the pearly gates. The object of our hope seems all too nebulous and non-specific. Streets paved with gold, clouds, light. Do we take these as literal? Do they comfort us? Do these descriptions sustain our hope? Out of curiosity, I searched for images with just the word heaven. Can I be honest and confess that the results were a little bit disappointing? It was all lights and clouds and vague, nothingness. It looked more like the Norse idea of limbo than heaven. In our Wednesday evening Bible studies, we've been talking about the reality of the Bible as a story about people and relationships. Our connections together and our relationship with God. There is emotion, struggle, joy, suffering, love, fear, and hope. Too often we turn the Bible into a reference encyclopedia of right knowledge. We make it all logos or knowledge, when it's full of ethos and pathos, experience and emotion. We make it about allegiances and consent to knowing about God, when it is really a narrative full of humanity tangled up with divinity. We make it a legal document, when it is a story. Is it any wonder that the descriptions of heaven are vague and ambiguous, enough to pass the legal department's approval of non-committal? Would you participate in an experiment with me, if you will? Close your eyes for a moment. Just a moment. Take a deep breath. Imagine for a moment the place that gives you the most joy, the most life. Take a moment to get there. It's okay. I don't know what your place looks like, but can I share with you mine? I'm picturing a lake with lots of trees. It doesn't even matter what season. There's sunshine and a deck. There's a warm hazelnut cappuccino at hand and a comfortable chair. There are people there, people I love, people and conversation, and plenty of time to have those conversations. It's peaceful. There are no worries. There are no places to be, no fears, no grief. The eyes of my beloved family and friends are healthy and well rested. I can hear birds singing, and other families around the lake conversing. There's good food, and the sunlight sparkles off the water. Maybe we'll go out into the boat. Okay. It's funny for me how much heaven looks like a house on a lake in Michigan, don't you think? I don't know what your place looks like. Maybe some of yours are like mine. I'm sure many are different, though. I have no doubt that they are as filled with joy and life as mine. Isn't it amazing how unique we all are? We're so alike, but we're also so very diverse. And for a moment, I wonder if perhaps heaven is just as diverse. I wonder if maybe that's why our descriptions of heaven are so vague. That vagueness causes a problem for us, doesn't it? Because grief and fear are so tangible, so palpable, so very real to us. While hope and heaven seem so fleeting and non-specific. It's so much easier to get caught up in the barbed hooks of fear and grief. We suffer because of it. I hear it. I see it. I can't help but grieve with you. But I sense that maybe we can find handholds on hope that liberate us from these. If we will look to the moments of joy and peace and life that we encounter here, if we will turn our attentions on hearing and seeing and experiencing God with us, Emmanuel, if we will work together to build and participate in that heavenly kingdom now, if we will hold on by faith to Jesus' words of hope to each of us in what is to come. Jesus said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. I go and prepare a place for you. I will come again, and I will take you to myself, so that where I am, there you may be also." See? The home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them. They will be his people. And God himself will be with them. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more. And the one who was seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all things new." And he also said, "Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true." May you have assurance